Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome to the stage Dallas Cowboys star linebacker, Leighton Vander Esch.
I'm Don Williams from the Avalanche-Journal Sports Department, and let's give another big hand to Leighton just for coming here tonight. And Leighton, I got to ask you, you know, 6 or 7 years ago, you were really sitting in the same position that a lot of these young people are here tonight because you grew up in a very small town. Now you're a second-team All-Pro this year for the Dallas Cowboys. You just turned 23 years old. Has the last 6 or 7 years for you been kind of a whirlwind, or how would you describe it?
Yeah. Hello?
Need some help with Leighton's mic. Tell you what, while we work on that, I'm going to hand you mine.
Well, first and foremost, I'd like to congratulate everybody here tonight. It's a tremendous honor to be here with you guys. I mean, it seems like yesterday I was in your guys' shoes, sitting there, and so, I mean, give yourselves a hand. It's awesome. But, I mean, time flies. Sitting in this chair now 6, 7 years ago, thinking when I was in high school and all the memories I made back, I mean, 5 years ago was my last year in high school. It's pretty crazy to think of how everything's gone since then and all the steps you take to get to where you are now.
I'm going to test the mic. Well, instead of testing the mics, we may just pass this one back and forth. But tell us a little bit about, I looked up, your hometown is Riggins, Idaho. Population at the last census, 419. And a lot of our communities in the Lubbock area, we play 6-man football. You played 8-man football. Tell us a little bit about your hometown. How would you describe Riggins for folks?
Well, Riggins is right in the heart of Idaho, at the bottom of a canyon, 1,800 elevation, 400 people, like you said, mountains on every single side of you, around you, and then a big river running right through the middle of it. The middle of nowhere, lots of hunting, lots of fishing, lots of outdoor activities to do. Like I said, I grew up hunting and fishing my whole entire life. My parents ran an outfitting business for the majority part of my life so far. So, yeah, just anything you can find to do outside, that's what you do.
What is Friday night football like in your community? Here it's like religion, they say. What's it like in Riggins, Idaho?
I mean, if you can picture Friday night lights in your head, that's what it's like. People driving up in their cars and watching the games. Everybody in the town of Riggins comes and watches the games every single Friday night, which makes it fun because, I mean, everybody lives and breathes small town football in that whole entire state. So, and I know that's familiar here as well, which holds a special place in my heart because I was just talking to them down there at the table when we were eating about kind of the 8-man, 6-man atmosphere here, and I mean, it holds a special place in my heart because I know how much work it takes to go to the next level from there. And so, I mean, give a hand to the guys all out there doing that.
What do you think it was that's enabled you to go from playing 8-man football in high school to having the level of success that you have had so quickly, first at Boise State, and now being second-team All-Pro as a rookie in the NFL? How'd you go from 8-man football to succeeding at the highest level so fast?
I was just a kid with dreams and aspirations to go play professional ball, whether it was basketball, football, whatever. I had so many people tell me that I wasn't going to be able to do it and that you're going to need to change your plans, and that lit a fire in me so much every single time I heard it that I was going to prove you wrong. I was going to prove everybody wrong that doubted me my whole entire life to do that. And that's been my biggest goal ever since I was little, to play professional ball. And now that I'm here, I'm just living in a dream and having an absolute blast.
Yeah, and I saw something that you wrote recently. I said that where you said you did not have a plan B. You were determined from the time you were this tall that you were going to be a pro football player no matter what. So you had a pretty supreme level of confidence, it seems like.
Yeah, that is 100% completely and totally true. I've never, no matter what, I always banked on going and making it to the highest level of football possible. Like I said, I didn't let anybody tell me that I wasn't going to be able to do it. And I was going to do everything I possibly could, whether it took me 10 years to do it or whatever. I was going to do it, and I wasn't going to let anybody get in my way of it.
Now, you not only set the Cowboys' rookie franchise record for tackles with 140, but you also have, I think, maybe the coolest nickname in the NFL already. They call you the Wolf Hunter.
Yep.
And I read the story. I'll let you tell the story. How did it come up? How did you get the nickname the Wolf Hunter?
So I was actually in my combine formal interview the last night of the combine with the Cowboys, and I walked in there. I had already talked to the linebackers coach, Ben Bloom, a few times beforehand, and talked to him about some defense and everything and what I could expect when I came into the interview and all that. And I walked in there, got to talking a little bit about football with them, and then suddenly everything changed from football over to more like hunting and fishing. Like, what do you do in your personal life? And that whole entire interview that's pretty much what it consisted of, was hunting and fishing. So
y'all didn't talk any football at the combine.
Literally, it totally blew my mind where it went and what we talked about, but it was an absolute blast. We got on the track of somehow hunting in Alaska and even in Idaho. And I hunt wolves. I hunt pretty much everything that you can hunt in Idaho. So we got on that subject, and I got showing them pictures on my phone of a couple of wolves that I got. And Coach Richard somehow just kind of gave me the nickname the Wolf Hunter, and that's kind of how they tagged me. That was my nickname throughout the whole entire draft process. And then I was just crossing my fingers that they came and got me on draft day, and they did. So it worked out.
Now you've got to like that nickname, right? That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, if other people like it, I like it. So it works out.
So I'm curious about your background as an outdoorsman. I know Idaho is famous especially for fishing, I know for sure. Tell us a little about your background as an outdoorsman, and I'll put it to you this way. If there are a professional wolf hunting league, would you be an all-pro wolf hunter, or would you be a starting wolf hunter, or you'd be a practice squad guy wolf hunter?
That's a great question. I don't know if I've been asked that before. It's difficult, it's hard, and that's what makes it fun. It's an extreme adrenaline rush. Like I said, it's not easy. I've only ever gotten 2 in my whole entire life, and so that kind of puts it into perspective about how hard it is. They're very difficult to hunt. You can't have very many people hunting them because they're extremely smart. They can hear, they got all the senses. Usually animals only have like 1 or 2, like they can see good, they can smell good, or they can see good and they can hear good and they can't smell good or whatever, but wolves have it all. So that's what makes it difficult, and that's what makes it fun.
So easier to tackle NFL running backs than to
yes.
hunt wolves. Well, what's your favorite outdoors hunting activity? Because from what I've read, you started doing this when you were a little kid, right? Your family's really outdoors people, correct?
Yeah. Like I grew up hunting and fishing my whole entire life in Riggins. That was like the 2 main things you could do really in Riggins growing up. I mean, there's a lot more other things to do outside, but I mean, I would go down to the river with a life jacket by myself whenever I could and go fish and throw a line in the water right there down below our house. So, I mean, my parents probably let me do a little bit more than they should have at that time, but I mean, it turned out good, and it turned out to really teach you how to be responsible and to not take chances when you were little. It made you smart in certain situations like that. But then again, it taught you really good experiences in how to handle things. So.
And it seems like you come from a pretty close-knit family, from what I've gathered. One of the other cool stories about you is that your dad, your parents, bought a bus, converted it into an RV, and I guess didn't spend a ton of money. This didn't come from like your rookie signing bonus or whatever, right?
Absolutely.
I read it as a $14,000 bus. They converted it into an RV, and it has like 600,000 miles on it. How many trips has that made, and how many times have they been down to or how many times have they seen you get on the bus and come down to see a Cowboys game?
Well, it doesn't travel from Texas to Idaho every game. He usually brings it down here for the first game, then leaves it down here at a friend's house, and then just brings it in for game days. So he's not having to drive it back and forth the whole entire time, because that'd be a lot. I mean, he loves to drive and he's kind of crazy for it, but yeah, he gets it done somehow.
Now, are you going to upgrade it for him at some point in the future?
Am I going to what?
Are you going to upgrade it or replace it for them at some point in the future?
Probably not. I'll probably just let him do what he wants to do with it.
For kids growing up in West Texas, for little boys growing up in West Texas, I mean, I know it's this way for me. We're Dallas Cowboy fans. The dream, if you're a boy growing up in Texas, is to play for the Dallas Cowboys, and you're getting to live that dream. What was the draft night experience like for you?
Oh, that was definitely one of the best nights of my life, obviously, because it was a lifelong dream, aspiration fulfilled. Getting to sit in that green room in AT&T Stadium, in the stadium that you're going to get to play in. I mean, I didn't know at the time. I was hoping, and I knew that if I was there, they were going to get me. But when I got that phone call and I was sitting there, it seemed like it was a lifetime. But my agent was telling me, like, hey, you're going to get a call in a minute. Like, pretty much as soon as they were on the clock, he was like, all right, you're going to get a call pretty soon here in a minute or two. Nothing. Like 8 minutes. I think they were just messing with me. But I was sitting there and I had my phone laying on the table just right in front of me. And like I said, it seemed like a year. And all of a sudden, Dallas, Texas popped up on the phone. And at that point, I knew it got really serious. But that was just a lifelong time of hard work and dedication getting to that point that it had finally paid off. But then that was just the beginning. It was knowing that I had that much more work, I had that much more hard work and dedication to put in to make sure that I lived up to everything that I wanted to actually do when I was little. And all the expectations, everything. I mean, you got to put that behind you. You got to put all the social media. You got to put all the distractions and everything behind you and do yourself, and trust that what you've done to get to this point is going to take you from there, and to not let off the gas at all.
And you walked into a pretty good situation because you had Jalen Smith coming back from the major knee injury, and he has kind of really returned to form that people thought he had when he was at Notre Dame that would enabled him to become a star. And Sean Lee, veteran Cowboys linebacker, from what I understand, he was a guy that you kind of idolized growing up. What is it like to be a teammate of a linebacker who you really looked up to when you were, say, a high school player?
Oh, it's incredible to actually be those guys' teammates. I mean, to be playing alongside two guys the highest caliber in the NFL, Jalen and Sean. I mean, Sean knows everything about football. He's a mastermind of football. Any question that you have about football, about scheme, anything, you can go to him and ask him, and he'll look at you and he'll give you about a novel of everything possible, and you got to look at him and be like, dude, I didn't understand anything you just said, so tell me that in about like a sentence, please, and make it so I can understand it. But he's really good. He's really good at connecting with you and getting you to understand what is going to happen in certain situations, what's going to happen here, to understand what the offense is going to do and everything. And then Jalen, I mean, obviously his athleticism and the way he plays football, it's awesome. So you feed off of both those, and we just run around and have fun with each other.
With the success that your program had at Boise State, and with the success that you had at Boise State, when you stepped out on an NFL field for your first regular season game, had you kind of reached the point where, okay, I'm a football player, I know how to do this, or was there a wide-eyed aspect to it where it's like, wow, I'm really wearing the star, and this is for real now?
I think that part was when I stepped on the field for the first OTA, was like, okay, like this is NFL football. The O-line's a lot bigger, they're a lot faster, but the rest of the speed of the game is essentially the same. That was the one thing that I really put a pin on right off the bat, was how much faster and quicker the offensive line was compared to college. But as far as getting out there and actually getting in a game, in a first regular season game, it was like, I know how to play football. I trusted my instincts. I trusted my abilities and to be able to play and go out there and do it. That the rest just took care of itself. My preparation, watching film, studying the opponent, doing everything you possibly could to make sure you were ready to go when your time was called. And that's it. That's what it is.
Now, when you were coming out of Riggins in 8-man football, you had enormous statistics, both in football and in basketball, and I guess pretty much whatever sport that you played, but couldn't get a scholarship, right?
Nope.
Was that the kind of the prejudice against small town kids? You walked on at Boise State.
I did.
How did maybe your experience at Boise kind of prepare you for where you are now?
Well, I mean, it was the one coach at Boise that gave me a chance to go in there and show what I was about and show what some small town kids can do. And I was so determined to prove everybody wrong that I took every chance I possibly could to better myself, to give a little bit of hope for the kids from the small towns, the small schools, that they can go do it if they really want to. And I mean, yeah, you got to have certain things go right here and there, but for the most part, I mean, like I said, don't let anybody tell you can't do something. And so going into Boise, it was like my coach, defensive coordinator, he just went to Oregon, and he's the defensive coordinator there now, Andy Avalos. He's the one that found me in Idaho and gave me the shot, and I walked on. I knew that if I went in and did what I needed to do, they were going to put me on scholarship in no time. Which is exactly what happened. I just went in and worked my butt off, kept my head down, didn't complain, did what the coaches asked, and I mean, I love playing the game of football, so it makes it that much easier doing that. So, yeah.
You were number 38 at Boise State.
Yep.
From all the highlights we see.
Yep.
Were you assigned that just because you're a walk-on, or did you somehow ask for 38?
All right. So when I came in and I walked on, I was number 95 for 1 year. And then I got put on scholarship, and I got to change my number.
So did you get to pick 38, or
I did.
was that okay? What is it about 38 that you liked?
There was a good Idaho linebacker before me that was a senior before I played. I got to play 1 year with him, Corey Bell, and he was a local kid, really good. And something about him, I was like, he was a good Idaho linebacker, whatever. I'm gonna get the same number. So, yeah, that's what I chose.
You have any, at any level, whether from Pee Wee League to the Dallas Cowboys, you have any favorite game that you played in, or favorite victory or moment, or anything that stands out to you?
It was my last year at Boise. We had won the Mountain West Championship my freshman year when I redshirted, and we hadn't been to one since. And my last year at Boise, my junior year, we got to actually host the Mountain West Championship at home. So playing in that game, it was neck and neck the whole entire way, all the way down to the wire. And there was like a minute left. We were up by one touchdown, or we might have been up by a field goal, and I intercepted the last pass. Took it down the field, Fresno State. Yep. And at that point, it was pretty much game over. And then we took that momentum into the Las Vegas Bowl and ran over Oregon. So, yep.
Now, going back to, and I'm kind of jumping around here, pre-draft process. Did you kind of have an inkling that the Cowboys were going to take you?
Yeah. Yep.
And even growing up in Idaho, was this kind of the pull of America's team that you really wanted to play for the Cowboys, even though you're from halfway across the country?
Yep. Yeah. I mean, it was weird too, because in an elementary, my econ career teacher is the biggest Cowboys fan ever. And he was like, you're going to grow up and you're going to be the next Sean Lee, like all this. And I never thought about it. Growing up, I didn't really have a favorite team. Everybody where I grew up was like Seahawks and Denver fans, but I didn't really have a favorite team. And as I got older, it was like, all right, like Cowboys are starting to put together a good team, and I mean they're full of young players. I mean it's fun to see what we're doing and what they've been doing, and so it was always right in the back of my mind, the Cowboys, and I didn't really think of it until the draft process started and how interested they were in me and how interested I was in them. that it would it really hit me, and it was like, okay, this could be real.
So last year, everything goes great for you. Say second team All-Pro, Pro Bowl selection, franchise rookie record for tackles. You have all these accolades. How do you feel like you performed? How close did you come to meeting Leighton Vander Esch's standard?
I feel like for a first year, I accomplished a lot of what I wanted to, obviously, but I mean, the ultimate goal is to win a Super Bowl. And that's the biggest team goal that you can possibly have, and even more so for individuals. I mean, there's so many people that want to win a Super Bowl, and it's not easy. It's so hard to do that. And so, I mean, for the first year, that was the one thing that was missing. But for this coming year, I mean, you got to live up to everything and even more. So just ignoring the distractions and being you, trusting everything in your ability to go play football and just having fun doing it.
I believe I'm getting the signal. Do we have a question or questions in the audience tonight?
Hey, yes, I've got one over here from Jacob.
Go ahead, Jacob.
Is there a current or retired player that you look up to the most?
Yes. Growing up, my favorite player was Adrian Peterson. I got to have dinner with him last year before the season even started at the Star at D. Lincoln. I got to have dinner with him and his dad and his little brother. When I was little, I used to look him up on YouTube, videos of him running dudes over time after time after time. I loved it. I don't know why, because then it's crazy to now think that I'm tackling this guy. But yeah, I mean, the way that guy plays football, he's obviously still doing it. He just set a goal of rushing for 2,000 yards this coming season. So, I mean, you got to respect a guy like that and everything he's done. I mean, it's pretty miraculous. So, great question.
All right, I got one right
questions?
Here.
Okay, go ahead.
Is there anything that you would do differently, like athletically, like now that you're in the pros?
As far as preparation, development, what?
I say preparation.
There's always room to improve in preparation because I mean the game changes so much, and your opponents always are changing what they're trying to do to you. So, I mean, you're always trying to prepare better and find ways to prepare better. Whether that's watch more film, whether that's stay after practice and work on certain techniques, and trying to improve your game. I mean, there's about 100 different ways you can prepare differently, and it's trying to find what works for you best. That's gonna help you succeed. So, I mean, watching more film, that always helps. I mean, personally, I don't like watching film because I like banking on a lot of my instincts to go out there and play. Yes, I like getting my cheats. I like knowing what the offense is trying to take advantage of me in certain situations. But I don't like thinking too much. I like going out there and playing, knowing that, okay, I have this and I have this and this, and they're trying to, the back's wide here or whatever. I'm taking my certain cheats out of certain sets to help me get an upper hand on them. But it's just finding what works for you best.
I've got one over here in the far right corner. This is Zach.
My question is, what do you think about the comparisons made between you and Thad Castle?
Oh my goodness. I mean, I think it's hilarious personally. I enjoy it. And I know there's a lot of people that do too. But I just think it's funny, and I enjoy that. It gives me a good laugh. It gives a bunch of other people good laughs. My sisters tease me about it all the time. Yeah, I mean, I'm a fan of it.
Hey, we have another question, far back right from Paul.
Far back right from Paul. Go ahead, Paul.
Obviously, you got to experience Sean Lee this year and the teammate that he was. Can you talk about the importance for these high school kids of being a great teammate and some of the great teammates that you've been able to experience throughout your career?
Mm-hmm. Well, football is special too, and I know there's a lot of other sports too that are special in that aspect of being good teammates. But it's just being a guy, being a teammate that you know the guys to the right, the girls to the left of you, whatever, if you're a female or if you're a male, whatever sport you play, that they can trust you and they can put every single bit of trust that they have in you, that you're gonna do your job and know that you're gonna do what you can to put yourself in the best position possible so that they can trust you to do that. But no matter if you played the sport for 10 years, if you played the sport for 1 year, I'm going on my second year already, and it seems like just yesterday I got to the Star. Being able to lean on somebody's shoulder, whether you're that upperclassman, lowerclassman, it don't matter. I mean, get underneath someone's wing, be that person that's willing to help answer a question. Don't compete with each other. Don't compete against each other. That's the biggest advice I can give you in certain situations like that. Don't try and bring somebody else down. Don't try and compete against them. Compete with them, because then it makes both of you guys better.
I know we have some in the audience tonight who are going to be playing sports beyond high school. Any other advice for young people who are going from senior year of high school to freshman year of college sports?
Yeah, I mean, it's a big change. You really got to learn how to balance your life, your personal life, school, and sports. If you go on to college to play college sports, it's difficult. It's hard. I'm not gonna lie. It stresses you out a lot, but it's just finding out your perfect balance in what you like to do, your personal life. Go out and do stuff. Don't just sit in your dorm room. Don't just sit in your room or whatever. If you go to a local school, don't just sit in your room and then just get up and go to school or get up and go to practice or whatever. Like, get out and do something in your personal life, because I'm telling you, it's going to make school, it's going to make sports a lot easier, because you're going to feel a lot less stressed. That was the biggest mistake I made in college, was just sitting in my room, my dorm room my first year, and then sitting in my room that I was renting with my other roommates and not doing much, because I felt like, yeah, I gotta take care of football or whatever. I gotta do my homework. I gotta do school and stuff. Yeah, like, balance that. And yeah, there's gonna be nights. There's gonna be weeks where you're gonna be way more busy than others. But find time to go hang out with your friends. Find time to go hang out with your significant other. Get out and do stuff. Go have fun. Don't be dumb by any means. Make good choices. That's always an automatic. But and then just don't let anybody tell you can't do it. That's the biggest piece of advice I can give anybody out here, any kids that have goals and aspirations to do big things. Don't let anybody tell you can't do something.
Leighton, I've got one more question right here on your left, right here.
Okay.
Out of the whole process, from leaving high school to now, what has been your hardest challenge to overcome?
My hardest challenge that I've found is what I just said: balancing your life, learning to balance the different aspects. I mean, if you're in a serious relationship, school, and then obviously sports, that's hard to balance those things. I mean, we're all young. I'm young. I'm 23. I mean, we're making decisions now already that, like, some 30-year-olds are making. So you got to put that in perspective, that we're making difficult decisions, but do your best to make those decisions and look down the road 5 or 10 years and think to yourself, would I make the same decision now, or is this right? If you have any doubt in your mind that you might be doing something wrong, don't do it.
Leighton, I've got Nick over here, also to your left.
All great questions. Go ahead, Nick.
Who's the hardest running back you've had to tackle?
Oh, I guess anybody could guess it. It's Saquon Barkley.
Zeke is not going to get mad at this, is he?
No, I would say he would say the same thing. Saquon is a different dude. He is a different human being. I don't know if I've never ever had to tackle someone like him. He's extremely elusive. He's very strong. He has a very good base when he runs the ball, and I mean, he's doing everything he possibly can to make 2 or 3 yards. If he has to run across the field 4 times, he's going to do it. And it's hard because it makes you tired, but you got to focus in, especially trying to tackle the guy. You can't be looking at him up high. You got to look at his hips. I talked to him at the Pro Bowl, actually, the last night after the game. We had a party at the hotel, and I talked to him for about an hour, and we were just talking about each other's games, what we see, like where we can get better. And that was really neat for me because I came from smaller school, Boise. We're non-Power 5, and he came from Penn State. And seeing what he had done that whole last year there, and just imagine like what it would be like to play against a guy like that. And now actually being done with our first year of pro football and getting to talk to each other, it was like, this is neat. That's the type of relationships you build in the NFL. Like, people want to see you succeed. People want to see you do the best you possibly can, and that's a nice thing. There's nobody that wants to rip you down because they know how hard it's been to get to that point and to stay there. That's the biggest thing. So getting to talk to a guy like that and hearing what he has to say, giving me tips on how to tackle a guy like him, I'm like, I have a notebook out, writing everything I possibly can down at the Pro Bowl. And yeah, I would definitely pick him.
Hey, Leighton, we have one more final question from Rhett over to the right.
Brad to the right. Go ahead, Brad.
My name is Rhett.
Rhett. Sorry about that, Rhett.
My bad.
Go ahead, Rhett.
How much can you bench?
You're gonna put me on the spot now.
Yeah, have you maxed out lately?
We tested, I think a week and a half ago, but we don't do 1 rep max. We don't do 2 rep max. We test at like 275 or 315. I did 275 11 times.
What'd you do at the combine? You do reps at 225 at the combine. What'd you do there?
225. I did 20 reps. Was the most I ever got.
Which is about 20 more than I can do. Oh.
Still not very good, but.
So I'm going to ask you. Okay, I keep tying this back to you. Probably get sick of talking about your small town roots and whatnot. But a lot of small town kids, and I was one myself, get to do so many different things, all different kinds of sports. Besides football and basketball and hunting, what else did you do in Riggins?
I was a rafts guide. That when I walked on at Boise that first year. We're a small town, but we're a big tourist town. Like, everybody comes in during the summer, hunting season, fishing season, whatever it is, and hunt, fish, raft, do whatever. They go to the river. But there's probably 7 or 8 different rafting companies in the town of Riggins. And that was kind of how I helped pay for college my first year. So I came back in the summer every single weekend and rode. I was a rafting guide for 5 years. So, and I mean, I'll probably do the same. I'll probably do a couple trips when I go back home this summer here in a couple weeks. So I just love getting out there, love showing what Riggins is about to people that haven't experienced it yet. But I mean, getting outside, I snowboarded a lot, I snowmobile. Pretty much anything you can do outside in the town of Riggins, Idaho is what I do.
So you do get to go home this summer. What's your schedule here in the next 2-3 weeks? You got OTAs?
Yep, we just finished our last day of OTAs today, actually. And now tomorrow we have our Cowboys U football camp where the 7-on-7 teams come in and we kind of have a big tournament with them. It's a lot of fun. And then we have our last team mini camp next week for 3 days. And then we're done till July 25th is when we report for camp in Oxnard, California. So, yep, make the flight down there to Burbank from Boise and then ride a train an hour to Oxnard, and then it's go time.
And we appreciate you being here because last year, Danny Amendola came in, former Texas Tech football player, and between the time he committed to this event and the night this event was put on, I think he had he had to be back in Miami at 8 o'clock the next morning. Danny still fulfilled the obligation, was sitting here on the stage and then took an overnight flight back to Miami. So we appreciate you, as a professional athlete, taking your time to do this for young people in West Texas.
Absolutely, and I thank you guys for coming out tonight and congratulate y'all for being here. It's awesome. Time flies. You're going to be in college and out of college before you know it. So enjoy it, soak it all in, and just have fun.
Do we have any more questions? Do we have any more questions? I'm looking for my cue person to tell me my time schedule. Okay, we're good. All right, well, everybody, we appreciate it again. Thanks to everyone for coming out, and fantastic audience participation. And thanks to you again, Leighton. And I know a lot of people will be rooting for you, you and the Cowboys again this fall, so go get them.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.